So, Lee, appreciate you joining us today for our podcast here. And for those of you joining us, my name is Tyler Capson. I'm the managing director for EverEdge and run our Singapore office. So our guest here today, Lee Evans, who is the CEO of Afin Technologies. Lee, why don't you give us a bit of background about your brand, your personal and professional background for everyone?
Tyler, well, first of all, thank you for having me on your podcast. Absolutely honored. And yes, happy to tell you a bit more about Afin. So the company was originally set up, would you believe, from our spare bedroom. My wife and I set up our company with our first product, SurveyMe, about 7 years ago. And we threw it out into the world and uncurated. And lo and behold, we ended up in moving from the UK to the USA. And following the progression of our first product, SurveyMe. Thereafter, SurveyMe did very well in the movie theatre industry, and we got feedback about CinemaCon in 2018, and they said, Lee, we love SurveyMe. It's driving people to go to our concessions. We've run out of questions. Can you go build us a product that we don't have to ask people questions? We can just reward them. And I came back from those meetings, there's 50 odd meetings in 4 days, and at CinemaCon exhausted. And I sat on the floor of Caesar's Palace, and I was watching people playing the slot machines, and I just became intrigued, engrossed for about 6 hours to watching them. And what was it that was making them stay there? And that became the genesis of a product called Buxbo, Buxbo, which is a free app. And we built this product, we built its prototype, and someone said to me, Lee, how big can you take this? And if money was no object, where would you,
what would you do? Yeah.
What would you do? And I said, you know what? The answer is, I would acquire entertainment. Now, entertainment is at the time was a 58-year-old company. April next year, we're a 60-year-old company. And they said, why? And I said, well, because entertainment has what I call ALFI, accumulated learning from years of experience. I said, we've got
a great intangible asset there. You've
best.
Coined it.
Yeah. So I said, it's got the systems, it's got the people, it's got the processes, it's got the content, it's got the merchant relationships, it's got everything. In short, you could not build entertainment right now. And so, lo and behold, we had a great discussion with the then owners of entertainment, and we merged this exciting new company, Afin, with this traditional company, Entertainment. And that's really where the fun starts.
Yeah, and I think most people are aware of the brand and entertainment and the books for years and years, especially if they've had kids in schools and things, and they've done the fundraising drives and those. Everyone's familiar with it. So, man, your business has definitely significantly evolved. Going from your home office with your wife over the past few years. And could you tell us about these changes and what were the real key drivers for you guys in moving towards the new direction and where you guys are?
Yeah, I think as I said, the feedback I got from clients. So SurveyMe was all about listening to your customers and rewarding them for helping you solve a problem. And it recognizes that business leaders do not always have the answer. People think we always have the answer, but people don't. And my first source is my customers and my senior leadership team. And so that's always been a goal of mine, or something that I live by, is listen to people and then innovate on the back of that. And I think entertainment for me was a brilliant cultural fit in that sense, because entertainment as a business, although it started life out, funny enough, with a husband and wife couple, Hughes and Shiloh Potiker, setting up on their kitchen table in 1962, I think. It evolved like Nicola and I had evolved. So we understood that, and I think the way that entertainment has evolved fitted my style of viewing how the future of the company should look. And very, very early on, prior to even the merger happening, I talked to the stakeholders and I said, look, print is print. It has a place. It's had a place forever. But the world is moving digital. And so part of my plan was to move the business into the digital space, to move it away from what had been seen as the discount offer and coupon and fundraising business that we were, and we still do a little bit, into the fintech space. And so 2020 and 2021 have been a transition into this new brave world of fintech, but underpinned by some incredible intangible assets.
So in that process, and your conversion from print, from the surveys into this now Buxbo and mostly digital, with COVID happening over the last 12 months, unexpected, but we've seen data that shows people, it was something like less than 5% of people worked from home 2 years ago, and now it's over 50%. Most of that is required, but the transition to digital was something like 600% increase in the past 12 months. What have you seen in your business, and how did that impact your move to digital?
Yeah, great question. I think it's interesting to look back. For 59 years of the company's history, the company has had income from fundraising, and that's been books, primarily books. We do have a digital fundraising platform. 2020 virtually zero, because the schools were closed, have been closed all year. So you've gone from a bedrock of all that income to virtually zero income. And how do you manage that? At the same time, we have a terrific consumer direct business where consumers buy the books directly from us via the internet. And I would say over the last 15 years, we can predict plus or minus a few percent on a daily basis what our sales will be. Well, I'll tell you that this year, 2020, particularly the last quarter, where we sell a lot of books for gifts, we've seen variations anywhere between plus 100% and minus 85% on any day, and that is a terrific amount of turbulence to manage yourself through. Now, the move to digital, when we're talking about books, the move to digital, the variance has been tiny. So our recurring digital income is, as you know, because you've looked at the numbers, it's minimal. We're up on digital income because it's much easier to manage digital income than book income. We're not carrying inventory. We know what we can do. On an operational level, we have a 52,000 square foot office in Troy, Michigan. We have offices in the UK, and we have offices in California. About half of my team were already remote, and one of the first things I did was introduce tools like Slack, like Zoom. So we were using Slack and Zoom for
messaging platforms, keep everyone connected.
Keep everyone connected. And so, yes, there was a big thing for the people in Michigan to move out of their 52,000 square foot office and go work from home. But we actually found, using these tools, that people were more productive. And very quickly I said, okay, this is cool. This is how I want it to be. And so even while we looked like we were coming out the first wave, I said to people, you can work 2 days from home every week. Now, I believe we will transition, that we will have a much smaller office in future, and people will work from home, because I've seen it, in the results that we've created.
And I don't think Afin is alone in this movement, in this transition. I think the business owners that I've worked with, and as we do seminars and I get feedback, that transition of being much more flexible with work from home is a big deal. The other piece that you brought up I thought was interesting is that you're able to collect data so much faster now, right? From your digital platform, your conversion from books, you might have had to ask the salespeople on the ground, what's the sales rates, and it takes a few weeks to collate all of the data. And now you're getting instant, immediate feedback. And as EverEdge, we look at these intangible assets. We look at data and content and those networks, and the speed of the communication can definitely be a valuable intangible asset for businesses. As you've moved, what role has intangible assets played in helping you drive your strategy or your move as you've moved through digital? And were intangible assets ever a thing? And how has that changed for you?
Yeah, I've always seen intangible assets as a really important part. You know, as I said right at the outset, when we merged with entertainment, Alfie, it was all about all the associated things with Alfie, and you know the merchant contracts that we have, the merchant relationships we have. Entertainment is a master, as an organization, is a master at creating and fostering excellent partnerships, and inherent in that, you know, are people. So the intangibles, you know, that we have are our people. I consider that our people are amongst the greatest asset that we have as a company.
Is it
Um,
is it people in terms of just deeping down a little bit? Is it people in terms of key man and expert knowledge and know-how, or is it just the company and the culture and the ethic?
I think there's a bit of both. I think there's you know, entertainment. I think at one point had around about 400. Well, it actually had over 1,000 staff at one point, and then it reduced and it reduced. And so what you've got is what I have is a box of Swiss Army knives, and they can all do multiple things within the company,
Right.
and so that's the culture. It's a culture of can do, have done, will do again, and so anything that any ideas, any innovation, has always got input from people who are experienced in doing that. So there is the element of culture. There is definitely the element of know-how. I mean, my B2B team, I think they have on average 16 years experience in their sectors and their industries, and so there's no one in our industry that can talk like they can talk in terms
Right.
of knowledge and experience and how industries have evolved. So again, really exciting from that perspective, to work with that and those intangibles. But I always look at intangibles as you you know with people, and accountants and the way they look at the business, they look at, you know, widgets or fixed assets or stock, but in business people buy people,
Yeah.
and people buy people because people have knowledge, experience, and add value to their own business. And that's where the key with the intangibles comes in.
Mm. And traditional accounting doesn't have people on the balance sheet, right? That know-how, that experience, the Swiss Army knives of the company, those don't have numbers on them, and they are typically either forgotten or left off the balance sheet because of accounting standards. And so people don't necessarily value that if they're looking at your business purely from a numbers base only, purely from a standard valuation only, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and it goes further to, you know, that's the accounting standards, and
Yeah.
that's what accountants and auditors look at. But when you're looking at valuing a company for whatever purpose, whether it's mergers, whether it's listings, whether it's raising capital, the you know people look at revenue multiples, they look at EBITDA multiples, but it's very easy to see those numbers and overlook what are the actual assets that are
Yeah.
driving. Those assets aren't cars, they aren't computers, they're people, and the people's knowledge, the people's contacts, the people's relationships, what they've learned over the past is
Yeah.
is is what drives the value of the company, and that's your intangibles.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and Lee, we did call out a lot of those intangibles when we worked through you on this valuation project that we just undertook with you. So, um, you know, we performed a valuation engagement with you over the past sort of few months here. But what was it that made you undertake the project, and how have your views of the company's potential, how have they changed as a review of those intangible assets part of that process?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've always recognized, even from the very early days of creating Buxbow, what the potential was with entertainment. For me, there was no other company that we were ever going to merge or acquire with, and part of that was the culture of the people that I knew were there, and part of that was Alfie. Um, for me, I know that entertainment itself had never done an exercise on valuing the IP or the intangibles. And yes, you can say to patents, yes, you can say to entertainment.com it has a value. But for me, it was always more than that, and it still is. So the exercise that we did for me was about educating our stakeholders that there is so much inherent more value in this, and that getting a true independent valuation of the company from an intangibles perspective was better than looking at it from a traditional revenue or EBITDA side of things. And of course, they have obviously they have a role to play in it, but a true EBITDA revenue valuation should back into an intangibles valuation anyway.
Yeah.
And the exercise you did, I think, showed us that, and it was able to say to the stakeholders in the company, yeah, look, this is the valuation of the company, and this is how it's backed up.
Right.
And so I think I've always recognized that the intangibles have a value. I think for me, in the transition that we're transitioning towards the fintech space, it was essential for me to be able to show that the core components of our intangibles is what will get us there to the journey. And not the end of the journey, because there's no end of a journey, that but it will help us transition faster if we can identify which of the intangibles are most important,
right.
and also put like a timeline to them. So I think you showed us the value of accelerating the print to digital transition in the overall process, although we wouldn't necessarily feel the value of that until maybe 12, 18 months time. But for our stakeholders to see that, and they say, got it, really understand what they understand what I was doing anyway, but now they've got hard numbers, and they say, okay, so if you achieve this and you accelerate that, then it increases the value by this in that time frame.
Right. I think that's key, because it not only highlights the value of which most valuations can do, maybe from a DCF standpoint, but when you bring in the intangibles to the equation and you start to look at them, it also actually highlights the risks associated with and the pitfalls. Because what that does is, on the reverse, it shows you, if we delay by 18 months, there's a significant difference. And if we can't get these networks and relationships as part of this, if we can't secure those, and I don't have the right people, and because I don't have the people, it means it's going to take me 6 months longer or 18 months longer. The value is significantly less. And I think it's those, not just the highlights and the value, but also the risk that a lot of managers tend to not see. I mean, Lee, going through the process, what would your advice be to other companies or CEOs like yourself to make sure that they are recognizing both those opportunities and the risks, relating to their companies and their intangible assets?
Yeah, I think you raised a very good point, and the point from our personal experience was around the digital subscribers, and yes, there's a risk. In our perspective, you identified, as well as the upside, the risk of not doing this, or procrastinating. I think for me, talking as a CEO of a company with operations in the UK, US, and Canada, as a CEO, we're constantly strategizing, we're constantly managing towards our P&L, because that's what the market expects. Expects us to hit our numbers on the top line and the bottom line, and so as CEOs, we become, I guess, more naturally focused on our P&L, and traditionally the realm of the balance sheet has been with the auditors and the accountants, and that's where intangible sits. But I think as a CEO, my message to other CEOs is, by understanding and valuing your intangibles, you're able to see what the key drivers are, the actual key drivers. And you as a CEO probably know that. You know who your key people are, you know who your key contracts are, you know what the cogs are. But actually seeing, when you start putting them together and having a third party look at them and say, actually, do you know what, that cog is really more vital than you think it is. And here's the value of that cog in your overall operation. It is what's driving your P&L, obviously, at the end of the day, but it has an inherent value to your balance sheet. And I think it's a very useful way for CEOs to actually show that the company is worth more, in a listing perspective, in an M&A perspective, in a fundraising perspective, because it's very easy for accountants and auditors and bankers to overlook what the intangible assets are.
Yeah, once you start putting the hard numbers on things that were intangible before, they start to become more tangible and easier to manage. And I think that's where what comes down to it. So with all of this, I mean, I know you've got some exciting stuff coming up. You've got some deals. I don't know if you want to talk about them yet or if you can, but there is some exciting stuff happening both in the market and your business specifically. So what is next here for Afin Technologies, and what can you share with us for maybe your investors and for anyone else who is following your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're absolutely right, and you've had a great a worm's eye look at inside our business recently, and we recently announced the partnership with PayWith out of Canada, and
Great that that's public now, because I'm very excited about that. It seems like it's going to be quite the turbo booster that you guys have been looking for. So I'm very excited to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, and we are so excited, and really that comes down to intangibles as well.
Right.
David Strebinger and his team have built an absolutely incredible multi-purpose platform, and really, with my commercial team, with my infrastructure, with our intangibles that we apply to his platform, this is a global opportunity for it, and we both recognize that, and the limitations on what David and I can achieve in this partnership are really limited by our imagination, because his platform is very good, and so we've got that. And as I said earlier, the entertainment has always been great about building partnerships. So again, I guess by the time this podcast goes out, we will announce our next. So this is a world exclusive for you, Tyler. We have a partnership with Agio Marketing in the US, and that will deliver card linked offers to all our subscribers and to our partners. So you've got the traditional content offers that we're specialized in, which change people's behavior. They make them change, go to a new business. And then you've got the frequent values. So what makes people come back to your business? Well, that's card linked offers. And so when you bring the card linked offers that the partnership with Agio will deliver from January 21, with our traditional content offers and the virtual cash that our partnership with PayWith will bring, then myself, David Crystal, David Strebinger have really maximized our intangibles, and 2021 looks exciting for us.
Great.
And also for our customers.
Well, yeah, I knew about PayWith, and that's very exciting about Agio. Looking forward to hear more about that. That's one of the reasons why I like talking with you. Every week, something new is happening. You have one of the fastest moving businesses. There's new opportunities and new projects coming in. Look, Lee, again, appreciate you for coming on today. We do need to wrap up. I got one more quick little question for you. Being that we're close to Christmas, and this is what is your Christmas wish for the end of 2020? And what is your hope for 2021?
That's an excellent question. So throughout everything this year, on a personal level, my wife and I had our second and final child. And,
congratulations.
Most people won't know, but my wife's also our COO. So we've managed the company through all this turbulence and had a child, and a COVID child at that, because it's been incredible. So what am I looking forward to at Christmas? Well, we're looking forward to some peace. I'm not sure we're going to get that, but we're looking forward to really reflecting on the year that was, and celebrating how we've managed through that, and we've managed to stay true to our vision for the company, and celebrate the people that we have around us, both our children and our team, who at times feel like family. At 2021, what am I looking forward to? Well, as you said already, some great partnerships, and those partners like Agio, they've been with us like 4+ years as a customer and also as a supplier, and people could look at them and say, well, they're your competitor as well, but that's not how it works, because we're masters at partnerships. And so I'm looking forward to working with those guys, and I'm really looking forward to I think beyond the first half of 2021, because I think the first half of 21 is going to be pretty much more of the same from H2 2020, to be honest. But yeah, I really believe we're putting in place the foundations for the recovery in 2022, and we're as a CEO of the company, I'm super excited about where we are and where we're positioned to be as we ride that wave of recovery in 2022.
Great. Well, Lee, thank you again so much for your time today. It's always a pleasure to speak with genuinely smart and driven individuals, and someone that can juggle a new baby in the year with everything that you've had to go through, and your business is still successful and moving. You know, a true businessman. And so having someone like you on the show is always very, very exciting. And we look forward to talking to you continually through the year as you start to finalize some of these other partnerships. But thank you so much for your time, and wish you a very Merry Christmas, and take care, and we'll be in touch soon. Okay.
Tyler, thanks once again for having me on the show, and good luck, and thanks once again for all your team. It was a truly professional job, and we learned a lot. So thank you.
Well, we're happy to be a part of it, and hopefully there's lots more projects to come.
I'm sure there will be.
All right. Thank you, Lee. Take care. Bye.